Welcome to our first ever IT/OT virtual cybersecurity cookout. I am Jennifer Halsey. I'm going to be your host today. I'm coming to you live from my kitchen in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am so excited to get this started. My co-host, Danny Wolf, is the co-founder of Cybersynapse. That is a buyer research and intel firm that conducts in-depth interviews with CISOs to understand their challenges and try to bring some clarity to what they're facing out there today. So a few things on housekeeping. One, your questions, your comments, we want to hear them, so put them in the chat. We're going to put some polls in there, some resources, some ways that you can engage with us as we go along today. And my team has 25 swag kits that they're ready to send to your front door. So be sure you engage, because that's how we're going to choose our swag recipients. And a little bit about me to get started. I work for Dragos, and we're an OT cybersecurity company with visibility and monitoring software, and that software is fueled by threat detections that come from an intel team and threat hunters who all specialize in OT. Prior to joining Dragos, I had actually even more of an upfront seat to watch OT security grow up, because I worked for the International Society of Automation, ISA. You might recognize that name because they have the ISA 99 Standards Committee, which eventually became IEC 62443 series of standards. So I worked for ISA from 2004 to 2022. And during my time there, the ISA 99 Committee really pioneered the very first set of cybersecurity standards with OT in mind. So we had 400 thought leaders, 1,300 pages of guidance, and all of that went on to become the series of standards that folks are using today all over the world. And the reason why that's relevant is because that standards process is really driven by user cases. So we take all of these asset owners and we try to figure out what they're dealing with on a regular basis and how the standards guidance could help them to optimize their situations. So we had some of the brightest minds in OT studying the specifics of these environments, how they work today, and then trying to bring in the IT experts on the committee to really align around what good looks like in these industrial environments. So as you can imagine, back at that time, that was a difficult conversation to have, right? People didn't even have OT in their job titles. The asset owners felt like they probably had it covered in a lot of ways, and they thought IT had it handled. And you'd hear a lot about, the IT teams not really understanding the environments that these OT folks are working in. And the IT folks maybe lost some trust with the operations teams during that period of time. If you push a patch to an OT system, you're probably going to bring something down in the plant. And guess what? Operations people have a really long memory. Like, we're talking wife level long memory, right? Where your spouse remembers everything about that fight from 12 years ago. Same with operations folks out there in the plants. And if you disagree, put it in the chat. But I'm going to guess you guys probably have seen this play out a few times. So that pattern, is happening everywhere across the world in every different industry. And I'd love to say we're in a very different spot today, but I don't think we are. I think we've come a long way in our ability to protect these environments, but the adoption and the use of that technology still really lags behind for many different reasons. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes talking about those reasons just to kind of set the stage. And then I want to bring Danny in and ask her for her insights around the other side of the house and sort of how they're thinking about things. So back in the day, industrial companies used heterogeneous systems. They were bespoke, diverse systems that were hard to manage, but you knew what happened and you knew what to do about it because you built that system within your plant for a very specific purpose, right? So you had engineers who truly understood what was happening in those processes and could attend to what was needed to bring something back up or to make sure it was optimized in its production. Now we have homogeneous systems, again, for very good reasons, right? Like if you're going to be able to use data, you have to normalize it. You have these highly complex automation processes with computer systems that are wrapped around your physics. And there's so many benefits to that. But one of the consequences is that it's really hard to get root cause analysis, right? So if you're on this call and you're in OT, you might be shaking your head and saying, yeah, it is very difficult for us to figure out the root cause of a problem. And that's before we even get to cyber, right? So I'm just talking about something has gone wrong on the system that you are working in. And that in itself is a risk in OT. If that happened in IT, you just take it offline, right? You would just stop using that process until you could figure out how to get it working again. That's not the case in OT, and I won't insult your intelligence and tell you why. I think you guys all probably understand that that's not the case in OT, where we have these huge risks, right? There's safety risks, there's environmental issues, reliability, uptime, all of that can be impacted. And that's before we even get an adversary in the picture, right? So if you're not monitoring your networks today, you don't even know if an outage or a downtime period is caused by a cyber event. You just want to figure out how to fix it and how to get your stuff back up and running. And that's even hard to do without that visibility and monitoring. So getting to root cause analysis is so important. And it's not just important from a cyber perspective, but it's important to be able to get your reliability where it needs to be and to recover from anything that happens to your systems, whether that be because of a cyber incident or whether it's just a mechanical failure or some other problem. So to have that setting the stage, right? If you don't monitor, you're not going to know whether something's even cyber related or not, and you're going to have trouble recovering it. Today, less than 10% of the world's global infrastructure has the visibility and monitoring in place to do that root cause analysis. So that's a big problem, right? Less than 10% of our critical infrastructure is monitored by anyone. This isn't about Dragos, it's by anyone in order to get that root cause analysis. And that is what we need to investigate incidents, to bring things back online, to recover, to figure out what happened, all the things. So we have this giant pile of risk, right, that is now in front of us. And asset owners can't possibly know the risk that they're dealing with. That's not me throwing shade. That's just saying that unless you have those networks monitored, you couldn't possibly know what the risk is that you are in fact accepting on behalf of your enterprise. So that's a huge issue. And our friends in the legal and insurance business are starting to understand that and kind of awaken to that reality. And you know, it's a difficult problem to solve, right? So if you're not monitoring, you don't even know what devices you have or how they're connected, let alone what vulnerabilities might be there and what actually matters in those vulnerabilities. So spoiler alert, it's about 6% of vulnerabilities in an OT environment that actually matter. And there's such a long list that often our IT friends will come in and say, hey, you guys have to patch these 600 vulnerabilities. What are you doing? And really, it's 6% of those or some such number that actually matter based on what can happen in a process because of that vulnerability. So these systems, you know, they've been running for 40 some years, right? And they're so far past end of life. There's probably like a reincarnation moment for some of them because they're so far past end of life. We know that that's happening, but it's very expensive to replace all of this control system equipment. And a lot of it has been custom created for the purposes that it's living out. So support's not available. Folks are buying spares on eBay. Like these systems were never designed with the security in mind that you need in order to connect them the way that they're connected today. And I know in IT, when I talk with folks in IT, they're shocked, right? Because you'd never see that in IT. First of all, you guys have such shiny new things. Like in OT, we're jealous because you get stuff every 5 years, it's updated, it's doing all the right things with security in mind. But this is business as usual in OT, where you do not have that. That is not our reality in OT environments. So now we're connecting all of these old systems to IT assets so we can do all this really cool stuff with data, but that's expanding the surface that we need to protect. And that's where it gets a little bit tricky and where some of the problems between IT and OT really start. And it's from a good place. It's like, okay, if I'm in OT and I'm used to monitoring or being in charge of the stuff that happens from here to here on the Purdue model, let's say, and IT is thinking about the stuff that happens from here to here, there's a whole big gap now in that gray area. And it wasn't there before, but now it's a very fuzzy line. And so where OT used to end, it doesn't end there anymore. And where IT used to end, it doesn't end there anymore. And no one knows who owns that spot in the middle. And so then those two teams, right, are having all the best intentions, are kind of like, that's that guy, that's that guy. And so there's some bad blood that has contributed to this divide over the years. You'll talk to folks in manufacturing plants who still remember 10 years ago when a line had to go down because something that an IT person did with all the best intentions. So we have long memories, right? It's that, like I mentioned about the spouses, right? Their wife level memories. And at the most basic level, we've got to get past some of that and get to the point where we're communicating together with both sides of those teams, bringing their expertise to the table, and maybe getting out of their comfort zones just a little bit. So some of the recommendations that we had, even back in the day when we were working with the ISA 99 committee at ISA, it was, get your OT people to understand some networking fundamentals, right? Choose maybe one or two who have that interest and pursue that. Let them get used to what it takes to do networking in this kind of an environment. Let them dig into that. Even if it's not part of their job description, it should be now, right? So take a couple of your folks and get them interested in the other side. Some of your IT cyber people should also learn the physical processes, right? Learn to think like an engineer, go on site, spend a few days in that industrial environment and get a feel for what the concerns are and why you might be encountering some blockage when you try to put your stuff into that environment. So I know that's easier said than done, right? Because there's time and budgets and resource constraints, and the information systems side of the house is facing their own challenges right now. AI, anybody heard of AI, right? Like they're trying to deal with a lot on their side of the house as well. So that's where I want to bring Danny Wolf in, who can really help us understand what's keeping that IT side of the house up at night and what are some of their top concerns right now.
Amazing. Jennifer, thank you so much for having me in the house today. Oop, I'm already starting to spill. I'm actually really excited to be here in this setting. Lately, I'm finding that it's kind of my second home, what with the new TV show Cooking with CISOs that we got going on. But more importantly, I'm really excited to share some of the insights that I've gleaned over the past few years, interviewing hundreds of IT leaders qualitatively, because I'm a deeply curious human. I believe in empathy, and I think we're kind of leading this message today with empathy. You had mentioned feel things out, go to the other side, or try things that you're not familiar with. This is what it's about, and this is how we bridge that gap and converge IT and OT. And so looking back at, the interviews that I've had with CISOs, IT leaders in the past few years, there are a few themes that are similar, which emerge and kind of rise to the top. And you mentioned that, Jennifer, AI. I mean, it's everywhere, right? We just came back from Black Hat. AI was plastered all over the place in Startup Central, on the main expo floor. And, we see it's moving faster than we can actually govern. And so when I speak to IT leaders, they see in their organizations that everyone is experimenting with it. We have developers, we have the data teams, I mean, even HR, marketing, sales, but the guardrails aren't there, right? And so IT leaders, what they're telling me is that they're worried about the liability that they can't necessarily see. And that pressure from the board to move faster, to innovate faster, and to keep up with the business when they may not necessarily know that they have the visibility or the controls to back it up concerns them. And so, if IT feels outpaced, that risk can also spill over into OT too, right? Where the stakes are physical. And I know what we're going to talk about that in more detail. Side note, back to housekeeping, by the way, chat it up. If you all feel the same way or are seeing the same things, I want to know as a curious human being. I know Jennifer would love to know. So if you agree, disagree, please drop that in the chat. And I do think that we're going to have a poll popping up at some point. So if that's coming up, please engage. We want to know what you're thinking. This is what it's about. The second that we see is in terms of concerns or challenges emerging is cloud complexity, right? I mean, with the folks that I've spoken to, that is a regular stressor of IT as of late. And so it's not just the cloud, right? It's all the different kinds of cloud environments, AWS, Azure, GCP, plus SaaS, stacked on top of SaaS. And so we've likely all heard the phrase shared responsibility model, but in practice, what that means is that when something goes wrong, right, when there's a misconfiguration, when a developer leaves an S3 bucket wide open, right, IT security is left holding the responsibility in the bag, right? And so leaders, they do know that misconfigurations are inevitable, but, they're thinking, okay, well, what's going to happen when that hits the headlines? And so also when OT systems start connecting to that same cloud infrastructure, the blast radius isn't just data, but the production lines and the safety system. So there are leaders thinking about this more holistically. There are leaders thinking about this more siloed, but this is an emerging theme. And I think the third that really is a regular concern is ransomware. Every CISO that I talk to still points to ransomware. Oh, there we go. We got the poll. Every CISO that I talk to, ransomware is a concern. Wow, sorry, that poll came up, folks, and kind of made my screen disappear. Sorry, bear with me. Tech, we love tech. Here we go. I see you all now. So that is their worst case scenario because of the unknowns. And what we've seen is in the conversations is that they're concerned about the shift in the way adversaries are behaving as well, and the way that they are attacking. You have double extortion, you have triple extortion. They're leaking sensitive data. The use cases just go on and on, threatening customers, threatening regulators, and so when they come back with those issues to the board, which they have to answer to, they have to answer that question. If ransomware hits us tomorrow, how fast can we recover? How much will it cost? That's what the board's looking at. Many of those leaders don't necessarily have a confident answer. And that uncertainty is really what's keeping them awake, from what I'm hearing. And, ultimately what I'm seeing and learning and really understanding from you, Jennifer, is that IT and OT really are kind of in the same boat, holistically. And what that means is halted operations, right? It means at the end of the day, lost revenue, the business outcomes are impacted. And ultimately risk to human safety. When I got into security, I got into security because of the mission to protect people. And that has implications both on IT and on OT. And that's why it feels existential. And so, really, I would love to hear from all of you folks. I think we have, what, 70 plus folks in the room. What are you hearing and seeing from the community? And Jennifer, what are you hearing and seeing from customers? So I'll kind of lay that off to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. On that line of hearing from the community, I had a chance to sit down with one of our Dragos customers. His name is Michael Hess. He works for Trident Seafoods. He has done a transformation at Trident Seafoods where they are really focusing on OT security more than they ever have before. And as a manufacturing enterprise, that's kind of hard to sell in some ways, more than some of our regulated industries, at least. So I sat down with Michael and I boiled down some of his insights. This clip is less than 2 minutes, but there's some gems of wisdom here that I want you guys to hear. And then we're going to go back to Danny and get your take on the business case that Michael's talking about here. So let's roll that clip.
At Trident Seafoods, how did you reframe the OT cyber conversation from a compliance cost to a business enabler?
So long and short of it is data driven, focusing on investing in the future, protecting our company, and then making it align with other divisions' needs, not just my own. Last year, 65% of manufacturing companies dealt with ransomware. So there's a very good chance we will eventually be hit for it. And without something like this, we're not going to be prepared to protect our factories. So then it's no longer, hey, this is a cost, this is an investment to offset this expense. And then what I did to kind of really illustrate that point as I was talking with these groups is trying to identify what the average downtime of ransomware. At the time when I put it together, it was about 28 days, give or take. And then it was very easy to be like, if this saves us 3 days of downtime, this might be something like $2 million of savings, right? And so then it was no longer a matter of a cost. It was, this is an investment that will save us $1 million if something happens. Reframe the narrative, focus on thinking through alternatives and having a true conversation about it, and then ultimately align it to the values and the needs of the group you're trying to persuade, right? So if you're trying to persuade engineering, like, it's good to understand what do they care about, what are they trying to solve. We picked a platform that met multiple divisions, multiple departments, and brought in our executives from the beginning.
Yeah, so I think that's some really great advice. Danny, before we turn it over to Chef to start getting our cooking going, which I'm super excited about, give us your quick take on what Michael said and whether that resonates with you based on the interviews that you've been doing with CISOs.
Absolutely. And I love that clip right there. And Michael's story is a great example. And really the reality in learning from hundreds of CISOs and talking to them over the years is that the boards aren't funding security, they're funding the business outcomes. They fund the risk reduction that's protecting the revenue, the reputation of the business and their operations, because they need to keep going. And so the best CISOs that I've learned from in IT, they don't walk into the boardroom with, technical dashboards and decks. What they are doing, to Michael's point, is reframing the narrative. They're translating those needs into the business impact. I mean, I've met CISOs, and this was just a year and a half ago. I sat in a room, with a panel of CISOs from, some Fortune companies. It was an incredible experience. I mean, they can fire on business metrics better than some chief marketing officers, chief revenue officers that I know. And so that's the language that the business understands. They're quantifying in dollars and in impacts. And so when you're coming to stakeholders, you need to help them understand that, let's just say, for example, if downtime costs $1 million an hour, or whatever, then every control you propose should be framed as hours saved, revenue protected, potentially even lawsuits avoided. And so, what I think is one of the most powerful reframes of a narrative is that security isn't defense necessarily. Actually, last week in a qualitative interview that I had with a customer of mine and a head of infrastructure security, he says it's sales enablement. And so more and more customers choose who they buy from based on trust. Strong OT can actually help win those contracts, protect market share, and give that company a competitive advantage. So when you make that case for OT investment, don't frame it necessarily as an expense, frame it as business continuity, revenue protection, and growth. And so that's what's going to get funded. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that's great advice. Let's let that marinate a little bit. See what I did there?
Oh, pun intended. I love puns.
Yeah, well, we turn our attention to our special guest today, which I'm so excited to learn from him. We have Chef David Rose. Chef David was a star on Food Network Star. He's cooked head to head with Bobby Flay and regularly appears on the Food Network, Good Morning America, the Today Show. He's a grill master. He's based in Atlanta. And we are super thrilled to have him here with us today. And he's going to teach us the ins and outs of some amazing burgers and Mexican street corn. Chef David, what is cooking over there?
That is a heck of an intro. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Dragos. I've been learning so much. I'm a chef, but like you, I am a student of the world. So thank you so much for that information. But it is exciting. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining. And today we're going to learn some really tasty, delicious, mouth-watering things. So I hope you're all ready. And I feel like we're all friends already. So if you have questions, feel free, shout them out, slide them in the text. I am here to teach. So let's get down to it. My name is Chef David Rose. I competed on Food Network Star season 13, the best season in my opinion. And I did cook against Bobby Flay. Bobby cheated, Bobby won, but I'm looking for my rematch. So if Bobby's on this Zoom or if you see Bobby, I'm looking for you, dude. But it was really great. It was awesome. It was amazing. So many lifelong friends, and just really opened the door for so many things for me, where I've been the executive chef and spokesperson for Omaha Steaks for the last 5 years. And I just wrapped up being the spokesperson for Big Green Egg for the last 13 years. So you kind of see, I have a little bit of an obsession. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to stop at 4, but I love grilling. I love smoking. I come from a huge Jamaican family, and you know, just food has so many great memories for me. So I want to share that with you today. And I couldn't help but hear about the grab bag giveaway. So you know what? I'm in a giving mood today. I'm going to let the back of the scene people decide, but one person and one person only will be going home with my cookbook, egging David Rose Cooks on the Big Green Egg. You got chops, you got seafood, poultry, meat. You got today's recipes in there. You got cocktails, because you got to have a drink. You got smoked desserts, and you have breakfast. So one person only. For everybody else who doesn't win, sorry, you can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, wherever fine books are sold. But I'll be adding that to the mix as well. So let's get to it. Summer is still here. Summer, to me, does not officially end until Labor Day ends. So I'm gonna give you some really good recipes to make that barbecue grill sing and impress your guests. So what we're making today is my version of one of my favorite burgers, the In-N-Out burger. But instead of the In-N-Out, it's the Out and In. Saw what I did there? Copyright infringement. Got to be careful. So what I love about a good burger, you got to have bacon, you got to have American cheese, and I like that nice smashed crispy burger. So we're going to do some of those elements, but bring it to the grill. So first things first, you got to have your bacon. Bacon is great. Bacon is amazing. Bacon is nature's candy. The very first thing I learned in culinary school was fat is flavor, and bacon has plenty of it. So what you want to do, I like to start off with my bacon being cold, and I add a little bit of vegetable oil or grapeseed oil into a heavy bottom cast iron pan. Now we are grilling today, so you want to make sure you use a heavy duty cast iron pan. That way it can handle the heat. Okay, behind me, I have my grill. Between 425 to 450, because we're going to make a bacon jam on the grill today, all right? So you want to lay our bacon out like this. We don't want the grill to be too hot to where it burns the bacon. So reason being why I'm putting the bacon cold into a cold pan is the bacon has a lot of fat, and you want to give that bacon a chance to render down. When I say render down, what that means is you want the fat to kind of melt down, disperse, and get that beautiful mahogany, crispy, bacon-like exterior. and interior we all know and love and like. So head on over to our grill. Again, a little bit of vegetable oil or grapeseed oil, cold bacon, cold pan into the hot grill. Follow me. All right, so with the big green egg, you want to kind of do a little pump like this to release all of that hot air, because it is operated and powered by air. So the more air you have in there, the hotter it will get. If you just open it up, it might flare up, and that is not good. I used to have an afro, so I opened it up once. I learned my lesson. Learn from me. All right, so into the grill we go. We're gonna let that go for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side until it gets nice and crispy. So you close that down and let the bacon do its thing, let it render down, let it cook, and let it get delicious. All right, so while that's doing its thing, I'm gonna jump into the sauces, because whenever you have a burger, you gotta have a great sauce, right? Okay, so what we have here, easy, simple, delicious stuff. The thing I love about cooking is, even though I was trained at Le Cordon Bleu, graduated top of my class, summa cum laude, I like to simplify things and make things very attainable, very reachable, and very teachable, where you can take these great flavors, condense them into easier, simpler ways and techniques. So in this, I have a little bit of mayonnaise. Right into our bowl we go. Okay, what's the sauce without mayonnaise? Am I right? Okay, a little bit of diced up bread and butter pickles, or sweet pickles, or dill pickles, whatever flavor you like, toss that in there. Okay, next we have Dijon mayonnaise, smoked paprika, a little bit of sriracha. Sriracha to me is not really spice. It just gives it a nice kind of, little tingle in the back of your neck, like, hello, I'm here, sriracha. Scale from 1 to 10, about a 4, but I love that stuff. A little bit of white pepper and garlic powder. All of those seasonings in there like so. Okay. Boom. A little bit of ketchup. Okay. Goes right in there like so. A little bit of Worcester. Worcester adds really great umami, great flavor. And you want to add a little bit of acidity, because you have the burger, you have the bacon, you have the mayonnaise, all these really fat-forward kind of flavors. So you want to add some acidity as well. So what you want to do is add a little bit of lemon juice as well, and cider vinegar, okay?
Hey, Chef.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you're getting a lot of love in the chat here. Everybody's saying down south, you get obviously 10-month grilling season as opposed to
ATL, year-round, baby.
Also, everybody's loving, or they're talking about pots and pans in there. So we love the cast iron, but some people are talking about some carbon steel in there as well. Do you have a preference?
Carbon steel is good. Carbon steel is used really good for using inside the house on, like, induction burners and gas burners, but carbon steel, not really great in the heat department, especially when you're getting direct heat from the grill. So cast iron is amazing. Cast iron is king in the South. You could bake in it, you can grill in it, you could saute in it. Steaks are amazing in cast iron. So when you're grilling, using extremely high heat with direct fire, always go cast iron.
Chef,
Yes.
should we be grossed out that you can't really wash cast iron? Because that kind of grosses me out a little bit. Like, my husband's always like, don't put water on it, just wipe it with a paper towel. And
you can. You just gotta dry it.
Bacon on here.
You can wash it. Don't put it into like the dishwasher with a bunch of chemicals and all that, but a little bit of water, all you need. If it's really, gritty and grimy and dirty, a little bit of salt, and kind of scrub it with salt and water, but you want to make sure to wipe it out thoroughly, and then put it right onto the oven or on top of the stovetop immediately after to dry it out. And then re-season it lightly with a little bit of grapeseed oil, avocado oil, peanut oil, or beef tallow. But if it's really rusty, really beat up, a good way to season it is scrub it really hard. And then you want to do the inside, the outside with a high smoke point oil or beef tallow. And then you turn it upside down with the pan under. And you want to keep it in there for about an hour at 425, 450. Turn that heat off and let it stay in there overnight. You take out, it'll be beautiful. It'll be well conditioned. So you can wash it, just water does perfect.
Okay. All
no
right.
need to be grossed out.
I'm in now for the cast
What's your husband's name? What's your husband's name?
His name's Brandon.
Is
and
Brandon
he's not
there?
always the cleanest. So his name's Brandon, and he's not
he
always
there?
the cleanest. Yeah, well, I kicked him out. I put him downstairs so that he could do his work calls. So
Can he hear this? Can he
No.
hear us right now? Brandon,
No.
you're wrong.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to tell him.
All right. So yes, you can. Okay. So what I want to do next is add a little bit of acidity. So I'm doing some lemon juice in there, about half of a lemon. All right. Just put that in there like so. Okay. Careful to not have the seeds go in there. All right. And that right there is our sauce. You want to mix that up. Give it a little bit of a whisk. Put a pinch of salt and pepper in there. Salt and pepper is king. And you want to always make sure to always taste your food. You want to make sure if it needs salt, if it needs acid, you know, because recipes are a guideline. They're a template. They're not set in stone. So it all depends on taste. So season to taste, season to your guest taste. If it tastes good to you, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, your guest should like it. But if it tastes off, adjust it, modify, and then give it again. But always taste as you cook. If you take anything away from what I say today, taste as you cook, and salt and pepper are your friends. All right. So we have there, beautiful. We got all the ingredients nice and incorporated, you know, and something sweet, tangy, citrusy, acidic, something that's really delicious and just knocks it out the park. Right?
So Chef David, that's your secret sauce for the burger, yes?
Yes, the secret sauce for the burger. And what we have here also is we have the sauce for our Mexican street corn, because Mexican street corn is a must, and it's great, really, really great for summer, great for all year grilling, and something really simple, really tasty. But before I get into that, let's do a quick little peek and see what our bacon's looking like. All right, it's looking like it's starting to render down, a little bit more ways to go. So you let that do its thing. See you back here in a second. I'm gonna crank the heat up a little bit. All right.
Yeah, nobody likes floppy bacon, chef.
No, I'm
Nobody
full
likes
of
floppy
crispy.
bacon, no.
I don't want no floppy bacon. When I hold my bacon, it should be like this.
Yes.
No motion, no motion. Fight me, but I love it. I'm here for the crispy bacon. I'll still eat the floppy bacon, but if I had my choice, crispy all the way.
No
All
floppy.
Right. So what we have here now, we have our ingredients for our lime mayo for the Mexican street corn. And Mexican street corn is delicious. It's amazing. It's super tasty, super simple, and really, really great flavor. All right. So in here, a little bit of mayonnaise. And then I have here some either garlic or onion powder and a little bit of smoked paprika. All right. A little bit of lime juice in there as well. And very simple, very tasty. The corn should be sweet as is already, so you don't want to detract too much from it. And you got to remember, we're adding cotija cheese, which is really salty, and a little bit of that lime mayo. So it has a lot of things going on with some fresh cilantro as well. So it's going to be super tasty. All right, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Yes, sir.
Is there a certain brand mayo you're using, or do you make your own?
All right, now you know I'm in the South. I'm originally from New Jersey, but I've been in the South now for 22 years. I've been in New Jersey for 21 years, so you do the math on how old I am. Pretty simple math. But Duke's is a must. If you're in the South, Duke's is my jam. Growing up in Jersey, it was Hellman's, but Duke has that little twang to it. Not tang, that twang to it. And Duke's is king. I love Duke's. What about you guys? Let me know. Duke's, Hellman's, what do we like?
Oh,
Now I gotta try it out. I gotta try it out, Chef, tonight. I'm going to buy it.
Sensational. Yes, yes. Are there any other Duke fans in the chat, in the room?
People were talking about Dukes, but now you might have started an argument. And is Miracle Whip considered mayo? That's another question.
No.
I'm turning your microphone off, sir. I'm turning your microphone off. Miracle Whip is not mayonnaise. It is, Dukes is a byproduct of, I don't know, evil person who did not like mayonnaise, but Miracle Whip is not mayonnaise. No, Dukes, I'll give you Hellman's, but Dukes is the way to go. If you haven't had it, trust me, you will love it. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. All right, so we have our bacon going right now. So I'm going to show you what we have as far as our corn. So, you know, corn can be a finicky customer sometimes, depending on time of year. It might not be as sweet. It might not be as in season, but what I do for a really fail-safe way to get some really good flavor into the corn is I do a quick, simple brine. So what I have in here, I had some warm water, about 6 cups of warm water, give or take, and about a half cup of sugar and a half cup of kosher salt. So that brine's gonna do a couple things. It's gonna make that corn really tender, really flavorful, and also give it just a nice kind of, texture as well when you grill it. So it makes it sweet and makes it salty, especially if the corn isn't as sweet, it gives it a little oomph. So what I did is I halved the corn right here, took full corn, just cut it in half, and very easy, just take a sharp knife, put it in the middle like this, use the palm, and just chop it right through, okay? So that is our corn right there, and super easy in the brine. In a second, I'm gonna grill that, and we're gonna hit it with all those delicious things like the cotija cheese, the lime mayo, all of that flavor. So what I wanna do first though is, I wanna take that corn, dry it off, and we're just gonna hit it with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper to just add a little more flavor to it, because why not? Now, when I'm grilling, I usually opt for not using olive oil because olive oil has a very low smoke point. I usually use grapeseed oil or avocado, but since the corn is gonna be on the grill for, about 5 to 6 minutes, it'll give it nice flavor and it won't really get bitter, won't get acrid. So for any vegetables, seafood, anything that you're sauteing real quick or grilling real fast, olive oil works great, has good flavor. But if you're doing longer cooks, like your steaks, your chops, things of that nature, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, peanut oil, oils of those natures, they work really, really well, okay? So a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna put right here on our corn. Give it that nice GBD on there. And if you don't know what GBD is, scratching your head, chef, what are you talking about? What's this acronym? GBD is golden brown delicious. And to quote a friend of mine who is no longer with us, Ann Burrell, brown food is good. And brown food really entices, it brings it into you, brings you into the food, brings you into the dish because it entices and really gets that appetite going. So a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and again, olive oil, super simple, nothing crazy, everything pretty straightforward. And that's what cooking should be. Life is stressful enough. There's enough going on in this crazy world. The kitchen should be your area of zen, relaxation, and all things deliciousness. And as long as you're having fun, that's really matters, okay? So we have our corn right there. I'm gonna give our bacon one more little peek. Okay, there we go, we're getting there. We're getting there, we're about halfway point. I'm gonna give these a nice little flip and let it do its thing. But you see it's starting to kind of crisp up and kind of curl up. That's a good sign, okay? But still, it's not that crispy bacon that we want all the way, but we're getting close. Beautiful, okay? The crispier ones, you kind of put to the side. The ones that are still a little floppy, you wanna position those ones to the middle as well. Because you gotta know when you're grilling, especially live fire heat, the middle section of the grill is always going to be the hottest part of the grill. If you wanna kind of, a good point to know is when you're grilling steaks or chops, what I like doing is starting out with the grilling in the middle. So what I'm doing when I'm doing that is I'm getting those nice hard sear, those nice hard grill marks that we all love on our steaks. I'm getting that nice hard sear. Then I'm moving it to the circumference or the outer edge of the grill where it's less hot. So that way I'm getting that nice hard sear and I'm gonna continue getting the internal temperature cooked through to that perfect rare to medium rare, maybe medium, but in this house right here, we're not going past medium. So that WD word, well done, we're not using that. So medium rare, rare, that is my happy place. So middle of the grill, hottest place, the circumference, the outside, less hot. And don't be ashamed to use a digital thermometer because at the end of the day, we're looking for perfect meat temperatures and feel free to use it. It'll really make that experience for you a lot better.
Hey, Chef,
Right.
as you're preparing there, I do have a question for you because I just moved to Dallas and I want to get into grilling and I haven't yet gotten a grill for myself. So what kind of grill would you recommend to an amateur home cook like myself?
Okay, are you looking to cook for yourself? Are you looking to entertain?
Family,
are
friends.
you looking?
And for you, come on over.
And hey, you can have me personally. We could talk prices. Let me know.
Hey, we'll talk after. I know where to find you.
Or this right here.
Got you.
But the thing is, like, once you learn it, it has a bit of a learning curve, but once you learn it and you really invest into learning and, you know, using it, utilizing it, it really is autopilot after a while, you know? So a lot of people see it and automatically get flustered and just, you know, deterred by it. But it's super easy, actually. It just operates by air.
Yeah, you're welcome for that shameless plug. I love it.
Love it. But we'll talk. All right, so while the bacon is finishing up, what we want to do now is get into the burgers. The burgers right here is king, and I love a good burger. A good burger just makes me happy. You know, I think the burger is probably one of the first things we all have eaten as a kid at our first barbecue. So we're going to make something delicious, something special today. All right? So 1 second, I think I smell bacon over here. Okay, getting close. It looks pretty good. Yes.
When you cook steaks, do you ever sous vide those steaks before you throw them on the grill?
Sous vide is amazing. Sous vide is great. And for anybody who does not know what sous vide, you know, pretty much is doing a water bath. So you put it in a cryovac bag, you vacuum seal it, or Ziploc bag works good too, and you immerse it in that water bath for a controlled temperature. So whatever you want the steak temperature to be, say you want it 125, 130, which is 125 is rare, between rare and 120 to 130 is rare, 130 to 140 is medium rare. You'd want to cook it 5 degrees below your desired cooking temperature. So if you wanted it medium rare, which is 130, you do the sous vide, depending on the size of the steak, anywhere from, like, you know, an hour, hour and a half, you know, that kind of thing. And what that's going to do is it's going to cook it to that temperature, cook it by water immersion. And then at that point, all you got to do is grill it, get those nice, beautiful sear marks on it, and you're great. So I am a fan of sous vide. Sous vide is great when you're hosting large parties and you have 10 steaks going on. And for the novice especially, that could be very daunting. So sous vide can definitely be your friend when it comes to that. So sous vide, 2 thumbs up. If I had a 3rd thumb, I'd put that up too.
Same. I do it all the time, and I'll make stuff in the sous vide and then throw it in the fridge and just bring it out during the week to, like, throw it in the pan or whatever. It saves a ton of time.
It really, really does. So I got to ask you right now, I feel like we're vibing right now. What is your favorite steak?
My favorite steak, of course, is a filet. I love a good filet.
Okay. Filet is good.
You know, like, I don't want to have to, like, debone it and, like, cut all around. Like, just give me, like, the delicious meat.
Filet is good. Filet is delicious. Filet is a great entry-level steak as well. But for me, filet is a little too mild. I like I'm in the gym a lot, you know? You see that. That's obvious. I like a nice, beefy, robust, in-your-face kind of steak. So for me, I am a ribeye fan. To me, the ribeye is the perfect cut of meat where it has that perfect intermuscular marbleization, where it has that fat, that flavor, a bone-in cowboy or tomahawk with that big old long bone. Sign me up. I'm in heaven. But filet is good. And if I'm going a filet, I'll just get the porterhouse. That way I got the strip and the filet. And it's a win-win.
Now I know what I'm having for dinner. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Very welcome. So while we're doing that, that bacon get nice and crispy and rendered down. See that? No movement. No movement. That is what we want. So we're going to have that bacon right there. Before I get into the burgers, I'm going to show you how we make the rest of this bacon jam. So follow me over here to the grill. What we're going to do, we're going to add a couple different things in here. We're going to add a little bit of onion and garlic. A little bit of that. Okay, and we're going to saute that down for about 30, 45 seconds. We don't want to burn the garlic. Just get it nice and caramelized and nutty and fragrant. If you don't like garlic, we can't be friends. Bad breath be damned. Garlic makes everything delicious, from sauces to marinades to simple stir fries. The more garlic, the better. All right? Okay, once you get that nice and caramelized, we're going to add a little bit of bourbon, because we are in the South and bourbon is delicious and it adds great flavor. Cheers. It's happy hour somewhere. But the thing to know, you're thinking, oh my God, there's bourbon in this. I can't give it to little Timmy and Jessica. When you cook the bourbon out, it keeps the flavor, but gets rid of all the alcohol. So we put the bourbon in there. Now be careful. I moved the pan a little bit to the side because you have to remember that when alcohol and fire meets, makes it very flammable. So be very careful, move it to the side. And we want to deglaze that bourbon. Now by deglazing with the bourbon is going to take up all those itty bitty burnt bacon pieces, all that lusciousness that the bacon left behind. The bourbon is going to revive and scrape up all that deliciousness from the bottom of the pan. All right. What we put in there next is a little bit of coffee. Coffee gives you a nice, bitter, sweet kind of note. A little bit of chicory in there as well. So dealer's choice on the coffee, just regular black coffee. My girlfriend's Dominican, so we always have Cafe Bustelo in the house. So that's what we have in there. Okay, so we let the bourbon reduce by half. And we let that coffee reduce by half. It's gonna go very fast when we do this because the cast iron pan is very hot. It's been in there for about 15 minutes in a 425 to 450 degree grill. So the liquid will dissipate very quickly, all right? So let that coffee reduce by half and do its thing. And what we're doing right now is we're building and we're layering flavors. Whenever you're cooking, you want to always have contrasting and complementary flavors. You got bitter, you got sweet, you got that fattiness from the bacon. You have a really lot of things that are going on there where you're tasting things where nothing's one note. We're doing a symphony when we cook. We want to have highs and lows, and it's an experience. So always have complementing and contrasting flavors. And that's what we're doing right now. All right? So what you want to do also, once that coffee reduces down by half, we want to accentuate the sweetness of the bacon because bacon does have a little bit of sweetness to it. Pork does. That's what makes it so yummy. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of maple syrup. All right, we add that maple syrup in there. We add a little bit of cider vinegar because, again, it's a lot going on, a lot of fats, a lot of rich flavors. So a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And then what we do next is, I'm going to close that for 1 second. We want to slide over here. And what we want to do now is, you remember that amazing bacon, yeah, that we had? We're going to chop up all of this beautiful bacon, and we're going to toss that into the pan. Super easy, super beautiful, just some really cool, nifty, pro chef tip type of things to elevate your regular backyard burger to something special. And that's why I love cooking so much, because cooking is universal. Cooking has no religion. Cooking has no language barrier. When you sit down at that table and you taste something, whether I'm from Africa or Jamaica, you're from Norway or whatever, it's that look. We make eye contact and we know that good food is on the table and good food brings the world together. All right? So we just coarsely chop up all that bacon, right? Like so. Doesn't have to be super pretty, just enough to kind of make all the pieces uniform, because when we're done, we're going to blend all these together in our food processor and make a bacon jam. That's right, bacon jam. Okay, so we take all that bacon, put it in that bowl, and back to the grill we go. Right? Beautiful. You see that right now? If you look in the grill, it's starting to get syrupy and glazy, starting to get that jam-like consistency. So we're going to bring that bacon back to life, get all those flavors nice and friendly. The bacon, the maple syrup, the onion, the garlic, get everything nice and friendly. The bourbon, can't forget that. And let all those flavors just kind of come together, get nice and thick and get a syrupy glaze. And then we're going to blend that, and that's going to be our bacon jam. Okay? So I'm gonna bring that to the side a little bit so it doesn't burn. Okay, all right.
Man, I didn't think bacon could get any better until you just...
Some sexy bacon.
Thank
you.
That looks delicious.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is anybody cooking along right now with us? Show of hands or show of yes or thumbs up?
Yeah. Later.
Okay, see? So you can learn everything and then you apply it later. Smart, I like that. I like that. I like that. Okay, so when it comes to burgers, you want to have a burger that has a really good beef to fat ratio. So when you go to the supermarket or your butcher store, it says 70-30, 80-20, 90-10. What that means is that the larger number is usually going to be, or should be, the actual meat, the beef. So 80-20 is what I like, because it's 80% meat and 20% fat. If I'm feeling really naughty, really naughty, 70-30, but anything more than a 70-30 blend, it's gonna fall apart, it's gonna be mushy, it's gonna be too fatty. But I think a nice 80-20 or a 70-30 on occasion works really well. So what we have here is a 80-20 blend, 2 pounds, because we're making big boys here in the kitchen today, all right? So what I like doing with this 2 pounds of meat, I like to divide it into 3 balls, all right? So you take this bad boy right here, just divide it in half, like so, then divide that half in half, all right? So it's a pretty good size burger patty, and you roll it like this. All we're doing is this right now, because I'm gonna show you how you make the perfect smash patty. All right, so again, we divided this into 4, where at this point, they are half-pound patties. If it's been a long week, the kids have been giving you hell, feel free, make this into 2 patties, make it in a pound patty. Whatever you like, you make it yours. I'm just here to give you the instructions and the know-how. You do with it as you will. Okay, so we got 2.
Hey, Chef.
3. Yes.
What if somebody wanted to make a burger that wasn't beef? So what else do you like? And then give us like a good vegetarian option to throw on the grill if we've got somebody that doesn't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure, definitely. Lamb is really good. Turkey is really good. Chicken, ground chicken is really good as well. And if you're looking for a vegetarian burger, look no further than this book right here. I make an awesome vegetarian burger. It has chickpeas, portobello mushrooms, onions, garlic, and you have your seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic powder, a little bit of Indian pickle, which is a really kind of pungent, salty, fragrant umami bob. And even though no meat is in there, you would not know no meat is in there. So those are my options. They're really good. All righty. So we have our 4 divided burgers right there. Okay. Now, there's a couple different ways to smash these patties. You could take 2 plates, put some parchment or plastic paper, smash it down. But what I like doing is this right here. It is Tuesday. It's not Taco Tuesday. It's Smash Burger Tuesday. But we're going to use this tortilla press same way. Okay. So what we do is parchment right here. And we're going to put parchment on top. All right. So we lay our burger right there like so. And then a piece of parchment on top of that. And then gently press it down. You don't want to smash it into oblivion, but it's enough. We're looking for about 1/4 of an inch in thickness. So very slowly do that. See that? Beautiful. We're going to do that 4 more times. All right. And again, same thing. You put that beautiful golf ball size or tennis ball, depending on what size your burger is, and just slowly press it down. If you do it too fast or too hard, you're going to break apart all that meat. All right. So just kind of peek down. Again, you'll see it start to kind of creep out of the side of the tortilla press. And we're looking for about 1/2 inch in thickness. Okay. Oh, that's a pretty one right there. Okay. And you're going to do that 2 more times. Super simple, super easy. If you don't have a tortilla press, that's fine too. You can go ahead and use, 2 plates together, or, put it between 2 pieces of plastic and kind of get a rolling pin and smash it. But the thing is, you don't want to do it too hard or smash it too much because it'll fall apart. All right. Beautiful. All right. You get the point. Those are the burgers right there. Tortilla press is not only for tortillas and tacos, but you can also use it for your burger. All right, so let's check on this jam. Ooh, there we go, baby. Oh, beautiful. You see that? Super jammy. Everything's nice and incorporated. Has a very thick, viscous. Let me show you here. I want to get the spoon so you can see how thick it is. But you see where it's kind of sticking to the pan. It's super syrupy. All right. We're gonna let that cool down for a minute, and then we're gonna blend that up, and that's our bacon jam. Almost at the home stretch. All we got to do now is make our burgers. Okay? So what you want to do is salt and pepper. Salt and pepper is your friend. Salt and Pepper is also one of my favorite 80s groups with hits like Push It and What a Man, such hits. That's all I know. If there's other songs, feel free, let me know. But what we do now is we have a little bit of kosher salt. I enjoy using kosher salt because kosher salt is really good in flavor. It's natural, and you can see the flecks. It has a visual cue of seasoning on there. So kosher salt, like so, and a little bit of coarse black pepper. All right? And be generous because beef and salt play very well together. I'd prefer a slightly saltier burger than I would a under-seasoned burger. Okay? And these go very, 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 very quick. All right? So those are our burgers. So I'm going to do a little bit of multitasking. We're going to do the corn and the burgers at the same time. So the corn will take a little longer than the burgers. So let's put that corn on first. All righty. Again, put it on there like so. But I forgot something. Whenever you're grilling, you want to add a little bit of oil to the grill. You want it to release from the grill. So again, using that same high smoke point oil. Want to have that. You want to use a palm bristle type of grill brush. You don't want to use, steel wool because steel wool is not edible. And if you want steel wool in your burger, have at it. I would not suggest it. So a Palmyra grill brush made from actual palm tree bristles works really great. Always clean your grill before and after you cook. That way you're ensuring that the meat has a chance of grilling very nicely and also not sticking to the grill. All right, so you grill that, clean that, and you just take this right here, a paper towel or a towel, and we just brush and oil the grill grates. Very important step. All right, now let's put the food on the grill. Put the corn on there. I just want the corn to get a little bit of grill marks on there, a little bit of golden brown deliciousness, so I'll put the corn on the outside. With the burgers, I want that nice hard sear on the burgers. So I'm gonna put the burgers on the middle, okay? So boom, season side down. Season side down. And season side down. But what about that other side? Yes, we're gonna season that too, because we want every bite to be as good, if not more delicious than the last. Always season your burgers and always season both sides. All right, now you gotta know now, since these burgers are smashed, they're gonna cook a little faster than your bigger size burgers, but you're also gonna get that beautiful golden brown sear on there as well. So let that do its thing, about 2 to 3 minutes each side, and it's going to be delicious. Okay. All right, so let's take inventory. We have our sauces right here for the burger. We have our sauce here for our corn. We have our bacon jam, letting that cool down for a second. We'll put it in there. And you want to have your accoutrements with your burger as well. So for those, what we have here is, we have a little bit of lettuce and tomato. Okay, this is the cotija cheese for our Mexican corn. I'm gonna mince up some cilantro as well to give that Mexican corn a little bit of freshness, a little bit more flavor. And cilantro is another thing I absolutely love. Cilantro goes very, very well with everything. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. And for the buns that we're gonna use, I love these buns right here, Marty's. They're one of my favorites. I got introduced to these by a chef friend of mine about 10 years ago. And I love sesame seeds. And with Marty's buns, it does not get any better than that. I can't even count that high how many sesame seed buns are on there. That's love. So we'll use these buns right here. Beautiful. Okay. So we'll put that right there. And when it comes to slicing up tomato, a lot of times people bruise and have a difficult time cutting tomatoes. I have the perfect hack to that. Use a serrated knife. Serrated knife minimizes the bruising of the tomato and makes nice, clean slices. So thickness depends on the user. But for me, I think 1/2 inch tomato slice is perfect, where it's not getting floppy, it's not falling apart on the tomato, but it gives a nice bite that complements that really juicy burger. Okay, tomatoes. And I have some beautiful butter lettuce right here as well. And, you know, fight me for this, but American cheese, it's melty, it's delicious, it's sweet, it's gooey. It's technically not cheese, but American cheese is where it's at. Put as much or as little of that as you want, but this right here is great. If you don't like American, cheddar, Swiss, Colby, Munster, Blue, the list goes on and on again. It's your burger, so as long as it's delicious, that's what matters. That's what matters. All right, let's check these burgers. Beautiful. Okay, let's just give those corn just a little roll. Use tongs, please, people. I've been cooking professionally for over 20 years, so all sensation in my hands are gone, but please use tongs. You see the burgers kind of curled up some? Okay, come here, buddy. Beautiful. 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 All right, let that do its thing. We'll come back to that in a second. And the only thing left for that will be cheese. So while the burger and corn is finishing up, we're going to make our bacon jam. All right, beautiful stuff right here. Okay, so we let that cool down for a bit and get kind of tacky. And what we want to do now is make our bacon jam. So you take all of this beautifulness, all of this deliciousness, where you can see everything is cotton nice and syrupy and tacky and just delicious. And that bourbon, that coffee, that maple syrup has become one. Now you can serve this as is if you want to, but I think when you blend it, it's more spreadable and you get better square inch per bite of the bacon jam. Oh, that looks good. But again, dealer's choice. You can serve this as is, a little more rustic, or you can blend it. All right, get every single piece of bacon right on there. No bacon crumb left behind. That's what we're doing today because bacon's delicious. If you don't want your bacon, I'll take it. That's cool. All right, I think I got everything. All right, let's put this down here. Okay. All right, my handy dandy blender right here like so. Okay. All right. And then we just blend. All right, so everything is getting nice and emulsified. We're pulsing everything together and legit making it into a jam. Beautiful. All right. I know y'all can't smell it, but trust me, it smells pretty good. It smells better than good. It smells great. Okay, so once that jam is nice and pulsed up, we want to take all that, put it into a bowl, and let it come to room temperature. The longer this sits, the more jammy and thick, and the flavors will just marry very well after a while. But room temperature is all good as well if you can't wait, which I probably can't either. But what you have there, that's the jam right now. It's still warm, it's still hot, but the longer you let it sit, the jammier and the more thickened it's gonna become. All right, done. Bacon jam sauce is done. What we gotta do now is add cheese to our burger. So let's head on over to the grill, get back on it. Beautiful burgers. And the beautiful thing about American cheese is that it has a really amazing melt. When it comes to melted cheese, in my opinion, you really can't go bad or wrong with American cheese. It's just gooey and it's cheesy and it's flavorful, has a little bit of sweetness. I grew up on it, so for me, American cheese is a little bit of nostalgia, where I love it and it just really marks and checks all those boxes for me. Now, the burger is cooked through. With smash burgers, you want to cook those well done because they're so thin, they'll still be juicy, they'll still be flavorful, and you got that beautiful fat in there to give you that juicy, lovely, beautiful mouthfeel because, again, fat is flavor. Corn's looking good. Corn's looking really good, actually. Okay, so about 20, 30 seconds. All we're looking for right now is that beautiful melty cheese on there. But what I want to do also as well is I want to toast those buns. I despise a cold bun. So what I'm going to do here is slice these buns, these beautiful Marty's sesame seed buns, and put a little bit of mayonnaise on it, because mayonnaise is fat. You can also use butter. Butter works great too. But I think for me, the mayonnaise adds really nice flavor. And also toast the buns. Okay, so be generous, about a tablespoon of mayonnaise on each side. And this will go very, very quickly. All right. Beautiful. We have the toasted buns with the mayonnaise. We got the bacon jam. We got the cheese, the tomatoes, all the things you want and more. But don't forget that Duke's. Hellman's is a close number 2, though. All right, so back to the grill we go. I'm gonna put our buns on there. All right. Get these 2 bad boys on there. Now that right there is a thing of beauty. We have so much going on. We got that beautiful smashed burger with the melty American cheese, the toasted buns, the corn that we browned with the sugar and the salt, really sweet, salty, nice golden brown texture on there as well. And we just look and see at the buns. You don't want them to burn, just get toasted. Okay, so kind of rotate it around the grill. Again, use tongs. You have to. Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna close this for 1 second, and then we should be ready. All right, so as we approach the finish line, any questions about the burgers, about the bacon jam, about the corn, about my arm routine, chest routine? I'm making it bounce right now. Anything you want to know, let me know.
Everybody's asking, just they're all sad that they can't get this right in their kitchen right now in their mouth.
Atlanta, Georgia. I'm not going to say where in Atlanta, Georgia, but if you pick the right house, I'll let you in. All right, so beautiful toasted bun, everybody. Beautiful toasted bun. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let me put those burgers on here. And it's super simple, super easy. You see how fast we're doing this as I'm talking, as we're chatting, as we're talking about, you know, all the things, food, everything tasty. Cooking should be simple. Cooking should be something you do with your friends, your loved ones, anybody. And I got to say that cooking has served me pretty well in the ladies department over the years. That's how I got my girlfriend. So gentlemen, if you can't cook, ladies, if you can't cook, cook. Trust me, hear me when I say these words. Cooking will open so many doors for you. All right, so we have our burger buns, tops and bottom. All right, I'm gonna dress these in a second. And then I wanna take off the corn. All right, beautiful corn coming off. See that? Golden brown, delicious. I like those little charred bits, give that nice kind of bitter sweetness with that. All right, we take all that off the grill. Beautiful. All right, so we are approaching steadily the finish line. Let's take it on home. So we have our beautiful burgers right here. Melty, smash burger, deliciousness, cooked to perfection with that melty American cheese. We want to put a little bit of tomato on there, right? Now, what you want to do, I always say, season with salt and pepper, season as you go. You could put the tomatoes on there as is, but I like seasoning my tomatoes with salt and pepper before I put that on. It gives it great flavor and emphasizes the natural sweetness in the tomato. All right? Salt and pepper, easy peasy. All right?
Chef.
Yes, sir.
When did smash burger become so popular? Because it seems like it's really been a recent thing, you know?
You know what's funny? Smash burgers have been around like since I want to say, don't quote me, but like 40s, 50s, even earlier, because before it was kind of, you know, something that was a trend. It was something to make burger making faster and more efficient because they're thinner. So they cook a lot faster than thicker burgers. But I think, you know, as we progress in everything today, everything old is new. And I think probably for the better part of the last 15 or so years, it's really made a resurgence where every restaurant, even some fine dining restaurants, has their own version of a smash burger, but they're pretty much along the same lines. You keep it simple, you keep it flavorful, and you let the meat speak for itself. Alrighty. But yeah, I love a good smash burger. I'm here for it. Now you could double stack them, triple stack them, all that's good. It's your party, you make them how you like. A little bit of butter lettuce, 1 or 2 on each. Okay, dealer's choice. Oh, I know I've been waiting for this part. That bacon jam. This right here is what truly makes this dish amazing. The bacon jam is my jam. Literally love that stuff. So bacon jam like that, about a tablespoon, or again, you know, as much or as little as you like. Feel free to put a side of bacon jam on the side. That's cool too. Have at it. And then we have our magic sauce. We got the mayonnaise, we got the Worcester, we got those sweet chopped up bread and butter pickles, the seasoning, all that yumminess. We take that top bun that we grilled off with the mayonnaise or butter and just slather that. Get all that tastiness up on there. You see that? You see that? You see that? You see that? Flavor. Put that right there like so. Yes, sir.
I know we're coming to the end. A couple quick questions in the chat. Hit him with you fast. What drove you to cooking? What do you eat after work? And everybody's asking, what's your arm routine?
Okay, what drove me to cooking? It's crazy. My parents, both mom and dad, were actually both chefs. And some of my greatest memories are surrounded around food. And my first job actually was, I was a room service attendant at the Radisson Hotel on Route 4 in Englewood, New Jersey. And I've always just taken such great pleasure out of hospitality. So from there, I was a server, bartender, etc., a couple dishwashing shifts, moved to Atlanta in 2003, always loved to cook, trying to figure out my next step. And I saw a commercial for Le Cordon Bleu. It said, Le Cordon Bleu, realize your culinary dreams. And it was like that light bulb moment where I was like, you know what? Let me check this campus out. And from there, as they say, the rest is history. What I eat when I work out, steak. I've been eating a lot of ground turkey lately as well, very high in protein, low in fat. Chicken breast, a lot of chicken, whole chicken, chicken thighs, chicken breast, tuna fish is real quick, real convenient. It's crazy. I cook so much all the time. When I cook for myself, it's pretty simplified. But my girlfriend, she likes me to roll out the red carpet. So anywhere the range from, you know, a nice bolognese with tagliatelle pasta, fresh pasta, some nice barbacoa tacos. She's Dominican, so pernil. So it runs the gamut. But for me, simple. Steak, turkey, chicken, tuna, all for the gains. And for my arm routine, moderate weight, medium weight. My moderate to medium weight might not be the same for you, but moderate to medium weight for about 15 to 20 reps and about, 4 sets. I keep it simple, just compound movements, whether it be a straight bar, arm curl, or a preacher curl bar, where I'm on the preacher curl, or I'm doing, hammer curls. And pretty simple compound movements and just focusing on the flexing aspect of it. Because the more you feel it, the more it's gonna grow. You want that mind-muscle connection. It's a good shot right there. Triceps are nice too. But yeah, those are my things, but you wanna eat. Muscles, gains, definition, all that stuff, nutrition is in the kitchen. So if your diet is not the greatest, you could do all those things and have nothing to show for it. So you want to get your macros in order. I weigh everything that I eat. It's down to a science, but I got faith in you guys. I got faith in you. If you need some encouragement or advice along the way, hit me up on my Instagram, Chef David Rose. I got you. I got you. All right, so burgers right here. Beautiful. Okay, and now for the corn. Now, I love Mexican corn, but it can be pretty messy, right? It can be pretty messy. It could be kind of cumbersome. So what I like doing is once they're cooked and cool to touch, I put a skewer in there. That way you have the skewer. You're not getting your hands messy with the cotija cheese, with the sauce, and you can enjoy it and keep the cotija cheese and all that loveliness in your mouth and not on your suit or your dress or your shirt, okay? So again, just, put the skewer right in there. It should be pretty easy once you cook it to put that skewer in there. Or if you don't mind the mess, feel free, opt out for the skewer either way. Again, these are options for you to take. Take it if you like it. Don't if you don't. But either way, as long as it tastes good, you're having fun cooking, and everybody's enjoying the cooking, that's all that matters. All right, so you have that corn beautifully grilled, those nice brown bits on it. Stack it as high as you want. And then here's where it gets fun, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We're going to take that beautiful lime mayo we had. Very simple. Mayonnaise, a little bit of lime juice, garlic powder, and paprika, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and we just drizzle. Drizzle all over like that. As much or as little as you want. If you have a squeeze bottle works great too. But, as long as it looks good and smells good and tastes good, that's all that matters, right? Okay. Little bit of cotija cheese or queso fresco, whatever you prefer. All right. And to add a little bit of freshness to kind of break up of the fattiness of the mayo and that cotija cheese, just roughly, coarsely chop up some cilantro. Doesn't have to be super perfect. Coarse chop works fine. And just add that on there. All right. Beautiful. Let's get the final reveal here because I want you guys to see what we've done today so you can go home or go in your kitchen and really relive today and make a sensational meal for your family. All right. So what we have here is beautiful out and in burger with that bacon jam, the tomato slices, that butter lettuce, that perfectly cooked burger, that perfectly melted cheese, and that buttery toasted bun. My mouth is just watering as I'm talking. And then we have that beautifully, perfectly grilled Mexican street corn with that lime mayo, the cotija cheese, a little bit of cilantro for freshness, for brightness. Oh, this right here is something that's great for any evening, lunch, summer, spring, heck, I'll even say winter. I'll eat this any time of year. So for those of you who have not cooked and have been looking and not cooking, I'm going to take a bite right now so you can live vicariously through my joy and excitement for it. Oh, hold on. I'm going to put some more bacon jam on there, as a matter of fact. That bacon jam is so good.
You know what hurts most is that he gets to choose between which burger to eat. And
I got options. I got options. All right, y'all. I'm going in. Oof. Can y'all see that? Y'all see that drip? See that drip? Get that drip.
That looks so juicy and delicious.
Oh.
I can't wait to eat this later. Man, you have
I'm
outdone yourself,
I'm
Chef.
gonna watch my language here, but goddamn, that's good. So good, juicy, sweet, creamy, toasty. That really fresh, bright note from the tomato and the lettuce. That's a good burger. If you have not made it today, please go make one. Woo! That's good. Guys,
That's killer. Thank you, Chef.
so much for having me. I'm about to take this apron off and get really dirty and naughty with these burgers and this corn, but it's been my pleasure today. I look forward to hopefully reuniting one day again. Circle of trust, friends right here, heart emoji. If you have any questions, any remarks, anything you wanted to ask me but didn't get a chance to or forgot to, hit me up on Chef David Rose and I'll do my best to reply. And good luck to the winner.
Thank you so much, Chef.
Thank you, Dragos. Thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody. Peace.
Thank
Atlanta.
you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Before we say bye to everybody else, though, I want to bring my co-host back, Danny Wolf, and I want to hear just what you think about what we cooked today, about what we're talking about, and about what you think is next for the fusion of IT and OT and how we're going to cross this divide.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, that was phenomenal. I think I do have a few key takeaways. I mean, the first one, I should have eaten before this because I am hungry and that was absolute torture. That was phenomenal. I do watch Food Network a lot. I have my own cooking show. That was the first time I actually was crying on the inside because I couldn't necessarily taste it and I wasn't cooking anything here as of yet. But phenomenal job and thanks to Chef David Rose. I think if anything, taking away from this conversation today in our cookout is, you know, practice makes perfect. Cliche to say, I think, but in talking to practitioners over the years, they have their IR plans down, their incident response plans down, but it's not enough to have that plan on paper. You actually have to practice that together, both from the IT and the OT side, because it's not, again, cliche to say, but it's not if, but when, right? So we have to be prepared for, you know, the worst case scenario. And muscle memory is resilience, right? We have to practice the fire drills, and that requires us to even practice communicating together, practicing empathy, understanding each other. And so, yeah, we have to be ready to act as one. And I think another one, just coming off of a lot of the stuff that we're doing on Cooking with CISOs and with Cyber Synapse and through the Cyber Nest, which is our community of security leaders, the people in security, the people matter even more than the tech. Yes, there's a gap between IT and OT, but really what really stood out today for me was that that empathy gap. And in other panels and conversations I have between IT and OT. So that gap is big, yes. Both sides are burned out. We're under constraints. There are scenarios that we have to go through that may not necessarily add up from both sides. Tech is important, but the culture, our ability to collaborate is really our first control. And just, third, cheekily to say, this is why I started Cooking with CISOs, my own cooking show. And Chef David, said there are no barriers in cooking, and cooking can open doors for you. And it's why we created the show, right? To create a space for practitioners to come together, have unguarded human conversations. And really, we've seen after 12 episodes recorded and in production right now that is where the breakthroughs happen, in forums like these and in the kitchen, breaking bread. And so, if you are listening today, if you have a story, a scar, or any lesson learned, come join us as well, right? Bring it forward. Moving forward, we don't progress in security in silos. Yes, there may be some segmentation within organizations, but that doesn't mean we can't still collaborate and understand each other's side of the coin. So I do want to thank you. This has been an absolute pleasure and phenomenal experience for me. And I see that the forum here is super engaged. So that's exciting for me as well.
Thanks so much, Danny. And before we let everybody drop, I do have a little something to say about how we get started solving some of these problems, right? So in future events, we're going to get more into detail on this. I hope you guys will come back and join us for those events. We're going to talk about 5 critical controls. We can talk about IR. We can talk about visibility and monitoring. We can talk about all kinds of things. And I look forward to doing that with this community. But I did take a minute to catch up with Kai Thompson, who is an awesome incident responder. He's our global director of incident response. And I asked him about the differences between IT and OT incident response. And I think what he said here is really important. So I wanted to get that in before we all drop, because IR is one of those places where some of our gaps tend to show up the most, and it's when it matters the most. So let's roll this clip of Kai talking to us about the differences in IT and OT incident response.
What does ready look like when it comes to IR planning? If you were assessing the readiness of a potential customer or a current customer, what do you look for?
Ideally, it's 3 things. So let's start with the minimum: have an incident response plan. Right, an incident response plan ideally covers IT and OT. Oftentimes, organizations have IT incident response plans, but you cannot just copy paste them to OT. So some adaptation is needed. So these work in OT. Incident response plans should always focus on how to organize, communicate, roles and responsibilities, who talks to whom, what external parties have to participate in your organization, and that is it. And then everything that you deal with on a operational investigative level goes into playbooks. So you have different scenarios. For example, how to deal with ransomware in IT and OT, how to deal with targeted attacks depending on the industry vertical. Say in the electric field, how to deal with an attack by what Dragos calls Electra. So now that you have an incident response plan and you know what scenarios you might be facing, you want to prepare your environment to be able to collect and detect a potential attack. So create an architecture that's defensible and allows you to collect data off the environment. And then thirdly, have decent network security monitoring that understands industrial protocols. Again, most of the data that you'll be encountering that shows you processes might have been manipulated will be transient, meaning it's transmitted over a network. If you don't record that, it's gone. So having tools like the Dragos platform is absolutely key to having the proper ability to detect and then respond to something. If you're lacking visibility, you're having a much harder time providing situation awareness to the incident commander. And at the end of the day, as an incident response team, your job is providing situation awareness. For that, you need to do two things: scope the threat, so where is it in my environment, and root cause analysis. How did they get in? And really important for industrial environments, what did they do to the industrial process? These two things you need to do in root cause analysis, and then providing the overall situation awareness. And for that, again, you need proper incident response plan, proper architecture that allows you to defend it effectively, and network level visibility understands ICS protocols.
So that was some great insight from Kai that I didn't want you to miss. We will be back for another event where we can get more into this topic. I think there's a lot more to say about risk and how we look at that risk and how we bring people together to basically get our environments into a better situation and get us to a better place. So after this event, check my LinkedIn. I'm going to publish another interview that I did with a leadership consultant named Billy Bennett, who's on this call, who did so much great work with us at ISA to bring these two sides of the house together. And I'll share some extra resources there as well. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I can't wait to see you at our next event. Thank you so much for joining us for this virtual barbecue. I really appreciate it. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great day.